ABC Listen. Podcasts, radio, news, music, and more.
I knew my actions were wrong, but I convinced myself that normal rules didn't apply. I never thought about who I was hurting. Instead, I thought only about myself.
That is Tiger Woods apologising at a press conference. No, not for his latest driving indiscretion, where he flipped his car on a suburban street and was charged with driving under the influence. That audio is actually part of his mea culpa for a slew of infidelities. It's 16 years old. But doesn't that theme, the idea that he is beyond the rules, feel super relevant right now? We're less than a week out from the Masters and he still might play. Woods is seen as a key figure in the sport's future. He's a potential Ryder Cup captain. So, how is the sport grappling with a toxic relationship with its hero? I'm Patrick Stack. This is ABC Sport Daily. Alan Shipnuck is a golf writer. He's written books on Live Golf, the US Masters, Phil Mickelson. He's got one coming very, very soon on Rory McIlroy. It's called Rory. He's plugged into golf. And today he's talking about Tiger Woods. Alan, the golfing champion, crashed his car for the fourth time since 2009 over the weekend. What do we know about this latest incident with Tiger Woods?
Well, we're in the land of speculation because Tiger refused to, do a blood or urine test.
They did several tests on him. Of course, he did explain the injuries and the surgeries that he had. We did take that into account. But they did do some in-depth roadside tests, and when it was determined, he was placed under arrest and taken to the Martin County Jail. At the Martin County Jail, and even on scene, we really weren't suspicious of alcohol being involved in this case, and that proved to be true at the jail. So Mr. Woods did a breathalyzer test, blew triple zeros, but when it came time for us to ask for a urinalysis test, he refused, and so he's been charged with DUI, with property damage, and refusal to submit to a lawful test.
Of course, when he smashed up his car and almost, forced his leg to be amputated in 2021, they didn't test him for anything. The LA County Sheriff kind of swept the whole thing under the rug. A couple days earlier, he'd been on the CBS telecast from the Los Angeles Open, and he was slurring his words, and his eyes were glassy, and his face was bloated. I mean, it's very clear that Tiger's battling addictions. He's already been treated for addiction to prescription painkillers, and it just feels like he's losing the battle. So it's very melancholy. Tiger gave all of us so many thrills. Watching him at the peak of his powers was as much fun as any sport can be, and it's sad. The last decade plus, it's been this decline, and now the concern for Tiger, it's not about can he play in the Masters, can he play in the Senior Open. It's like, is he okay? Is he gonna be here for his kids and his grandkids? I mean, it really transcends golf, and it's heavy stuff.
Certainly heavy indeed. County Sheriff John Budisic spoke about Woods displaying signs of impairment.
Our DUI investigators came to the scene here, and Mr. Woods did exemplify signs of impairment.
We know he's been charged with driving under the influence with property damage and a refusal, as you say, to submit to a lawful test. I mean, who knows what the implications are going to be from a law perspective? What was the overarching reaction from the golf community? It seems super varied.
I think there's concern. I think there's frustration. There's bafflement that, for all the people around Tiger, all the handlers, all the folks on the payroll, that nobody can get through to him. No one is looking out for him. There's some anger. This is obviously self-destructive behavior, but this is now the third time that Tiger's lucky he didn't kill somebody out on the road. And it's just massively irresponsible. For me, it's just melancholy. Like, here we go again. We've been down this road with him now many times. To see him diminish his legacy, to see the pain he's causing the people who care about him, it's just sad. That's really, to me, the overarching message. Doesn't matter how much money, celebrity, talent you have, like, addiction is a horrible thing. And even Tiger Woods, for all his famous willpower and work ethic and all these intangibles that turn him into a champion, like, he can't conquer this, and certainly not alone. And so it's just sad to see this continued unraveling.
Why doesn't someone as wealthy and powerful as Tiger Woods have their own personal driver if they're, for whatever reason, having trouble consistently behind the wheel?
A little bit of it is just control. I mean, when you go to professional golf tournaments, a lot of times the caddy's driving and the player is in the passenger seat. That way they can be on their phone, they can just kind of close their eyes and zen out. Tiger always drives. I think that's just part of his personality. But also, hearing from people in South Florida and hearing from people who are close to the whole thing, I think Tiger still has a little bit of a secret life, and I don't think he wants a driver serving as kind of a chaperone and knowing what he's up to day to day. So clearly it would help him. Maybe the state of Florida is going to take away his driver's license and make it compulsory, and I think that would be a good first step on the road back for Tiger.
In the short term, the biggest event in golf, the US Masters, that gets underway next week. The timing is something else. The door was open to him potentially playing. That feels a really long shot at this point in time. But at a minimum, will he be at the tournament? And even if he's not, what kind of shadow does he cast over the biggest event in all of golf?
Yeah, I think he'll be there. The one place that he's protected and he's sort of can feel cared for is at Augusta National. It's just artificial reality. And that Tuesday night dinner that Rory's going to host for the past champs, that's one of the highlights of Tiger's year. It's a reminder of his place in golf history. And I think he'd feel very isolated and probably have a lot of shame if he missed it because of this.
I've loved the tournament. I love being there since when I was 19 years old. So it's meant a lot to me and my family and over the years. And I'm going to be there either way. With the loop that's going up there, as well as the Champions Dinner.
He was part of this feel-good project, helping to revitalize the municipal course in Augusta that's known as the Patch, in a very economically depressed part of town. It's generally been for just the Black community. And it was a great project, and Tiger was proud to do it. And they're supposed to open his course, his par 3 course next week. If the ceremonial ribbon cutting, his absence would be felt acutely there. So I think he'll turn up. I think there's zero chance he'll play. It was already a long shot, and clearly any training that he's been trying to do has been massively disrupted. Golf is so just instrumental into how Tiger sees himself and his entire existence, but his body just is not going to let him prepare for tournament golf anymore. In Tiger's mind, he just has to wake up good on Thursday morning. He can still win the Masters. And so that's part of who he is, and you take that away from him, that's a whole other kind of concern. So there's just a lot of questions, and there's not many answers right now, and it's just an unsettling moment for the sport, really.
You mentioned the Tomorrow Golf League, that sort of simulator competition where we saw him playing and sweating profusely as he made about, I think, 5 swings.
To win the hole. Good looking line. And he did exactly what he needed to do. Tiger cozied it down there for birdie for Jupiter.
He's really kind of the face of that. He's been a crucial leadership figure with the US PGA in their ongoing situation with what's happening in global golf. There's been murmurs about him being a Ryder Cup captain for Team USA. It doesn't come more prestigious than that. Can the sport continue to have him be such a key figure?
I think that a lot of powerful people in golf are asking that question right now because Team Europe is this machine, and Luke Donald is back at the helm again. And there's still not a captain for Team USA. We're now closing in on 1 year away from the Ryder Cup, and the ship is rudderless. Everyone's been waiting on Tiger to make this decision. He's sort of the presumed captain, but he's been unable to commit for whatever reason. And he kind of left Team USA in the lurch. So this last time around, that's how they had to do the Hail Mary to Keegan Bradley, which obviously backfired spectacularly.
But it means that Europe moved to 14.5 points. And it means that Europe have not only retained, but they have won the Ryder Cup on US soil here at Bethpage Black.
The word was, the PGA of America had given Tiger this deadline of we need to know by Masters week. And so now everything's up in the air. I don't think he's a realistic Ryder Cup captain this cycle. It's just pragmatic. There's much bigger things in his life right now than the Ryder Cup or what the PGA Tour schedule is going to look like. So it's probably time for everyone to rethink Tiger's role in all of this.
There's something so interesting about the hold he has over the sport. I guess it's a sport defined by manners and etiquette and this sort of sense of taboo to air the dirty laundry. But this is a guy, as you say, he's been a hero to anyone who's picked up a golf club, but that reverence is ultimately doing him a disservice, right, at this point?
It feels that way. Who can speak truth to power in Tiger's world. Everyone works for him. He doesn't have a lot of close friends. His father, Earl, he was a guy who could tell Tiger the hard truth. And it's not an accident that everything's gone sideways in Tiger's life after Earl died. I actually think Rory McIlroy might be the one guy who could do it. Him and Tiger have been close. They're business partners in the Tomorrow Golf League. Rory now is part of this very exclusive club as a career Grand Slam winner. And Tiger has massive amount of respect for Rory as a player and also the way he's lived his life. And I know that Rory has genuine concern for Tiger, and I think he might be the guy who could do it. And there's a lot of humanity in Rory. He might welcome that, but otherwise, I think it's going to fall on Tiger's children, and that's a heavy burden. But Charlie's now 17 or 18. Sam's a couple years older. Like, they're young adults. They're the reason for Tiger to keep going. All that matters, right, is family. And I think they're the ones who could maybe reach him because no one else has, and it puts a burden on them. It's asking a lot for young people, but I think maybe that's where we are.
It's a darkly fascinating story. Alan, thanks so much for pulling it all apart for us. Appreciate your time.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Headlines. You know how Australian sports fans are really excited by the prospect of the NFL game at the MCG, LA Rams playing San Francisco 49ers. What's not to love? It feels historic. One of the biggest leagues in the world is validating us and telling us we're worthy. Not everyone loves it. San Fran coach Kyle Shanahan explained how he really feels about the prospect of opening his season in Melbourne.
I was so fired up. That was our goal, to go 19 hours away and play a game. So I think we're going back in time or into the future. I think we gain a day or lose a day. I'm not sure which one yet, but it is what it is.
Is there any pro about this besides the con of travel and logistics?
No, not at all.
When he experiences the coffee, the culture, the trams, we know he's going to regret that position. The good thing is Victorians are chill about this kind of thing. Vaibhav Suvarancsi is just 15 years old and he only needed 15 balls to blaze a half century in the Indian Premier League as his team, Rajasthan, easily took care of the Chennai Super Kings. 15 years of age. That's wild. The WSL is due to start on Wednesday at Bells Beach, and 23-year-old Molly Picklum begins her world title defence and has been on the record about a mental preparation tool she used during 2025. It's called the Just Admit It list, where she forced herself to write down exactly how she was feeling before an event. And we asked her what would be on the list ahead of Bells.
I could probably admit that I'm a little bit tired. Like, I've had a big week leading into it, but I can also just admit that my boards are feeling really good and there's a lot of positives on that admit it list. So yeah, to be completely honest, it feels quite simple. There's not so many things going on this time around, if I'm being honest. But if I had one kind of vulnerable one, it would be that I'm just feeling a little bit tired, but I know a couple naps and a good sleep does pretty well for me.
Gotta love the honesty. The AFL Tribunal has given Tristan Cherry a 3-game ban for smearing blood on an opponent's face. The North Melbourne ruck was praised by the Tribunal chairman for impressive, candid and remorseful evidence. And as the Socceroos ready for Curacao Tuesday night, Turkey and Kosovo are preparing to clash in a huge game Wednesday morning Aussie time. The winner will join Australia, the USA and Paraguay in Group D at the FIFA World Cup. I'm Patrick Stack. This is ABC Sport Daily, produced by Poppy Penny. Thanks to TGL and the Ryder Cup for the extra audio used in this episode.